What's going on? Today is Monday, and as you guys know, every single Monday we come at you, we spit fire, we spit the truth, and nothing but the truth. That's my boy, Matt Shizzle Dizzle Whizzle, the second Matt over here. I know this guy for a couple of years. We met in Egypt.
We did.
As a matter of fact, one of my favorite trips in the world. I've been to 20 plus countries, got to been to like 50 countries already, but I loved Egypt. Egypt was my number one place in the world. You know that, right?
Oh, I believe it.
It was the number one trip. We had an amazing
insane.
time. The food, the travel. It was so many jokes, so many things that happened. Some things we can't even fucking tell you what happened in that shit. But oh my God, it was a blast. But today what we're going to talk about is personal development. And I know Matt for a couple of years, and I've seen him grow like tremendously over the past couple of years. And a lot of people talk about personal development, but not many people take it seriously the way you do. And we're going to talk about that. Like, what does it actually mean to be personally changing yourself? Like, how do you change who you are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? How do you become a different human being so you can attract the betterness of the world? Because there's a lot of amazing things in this world at a higher frequency, at a higher energy, and a lot of people are not attracting that to themselves, right? Because they're thinking negative, speaking negative, acting negative, hanging around the wrong kind of crowd, or not even being self-aware. And a lot of people nowadays, they lack emotional intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're just
Absolutely.
not in tune with their own emotions. They're not in tune with how they feel, who they are, what they're about, where they're trying to go in life. So, I want to talk about how did you become a person that you were before to where you are today, and what is the process for someone that wants to become a better human being and change their life and change their outside circumstances? Like, what are some things that people can do to become that individual?
Great question. So one of the things that I am a true believer of is when you're on a growth path, it's not going to be comfortable. I'll say this quote, there's no growth in the comfort zone, and there's no comfort in the growth zone. Like, you have to accept that change is hard. It's gonna take work. It's actually gonna be a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of tears. Like, it's going to stretch you in different ways. And so I'm thinking back to years ago. I've been doing professional sales for about 15 years. High-level sales. Started with Cutco, shout out to Drew Frank. He was my first manager that really influenced my life. And I remember Drew, he had a library. So I was a young kid. I was like 20, 21, 22 years old when I met Drew and started working in sales. I had no idea what I was doing. I really didn't. I was actually so bad at sales that he was getting calls from my customers about how pushy I was. And he was like, hey man, we gotta talk. We gotta
Tone you down a little bit.
Literally. And so I had no idea what I was doing. And what changed that was I started to read. I started to read the books that were in his library. He had a library of probably 100, 150 books. That was the start of my growth journey. And that was back in 2009, 2010.
Wow, that's when I started, 2010.
There we go.
That's crazy.
And so back in 2010, I had some big dreams inside of me, but I didn't really know what that was about. I didn't know where that was going. I was just a young, kind of stupid kid with some ambition. And I started to read. I started to kind of figure out, okay, you got to have some goals, and then you got to, make a plan, and then you got to work really hard. And that was something I was never afraid of, was hard work. My dad, he taught me how to work hard. I've got lots of stories about my dad. But basically, I started on this growth path, started to read, started to change. And it's like, when you start changing, it's almost like, I think it's Newton's law. One of his laws is you've got to leave something behind to get ahead. In order to move forward, you've got to leave something behind. And I started to leave things behind. I started to leave bad habits behind. I started to leave behind
So powerful you
friendships.
say that. So powerful you say that.
Relationships that were not good for me. I started to really start changing my outward life, like that outer circle.
You know what's crazy? A lot of people, they're afraid. They're scared, they're petrified to say no, to let go, to sacrifice, to alienate themselves from the people they were so comfortable with for the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Sometimes it could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be your brother, it could be your best friend. But a lot of people are afraid of letting go of the present or the past in order to achieve greatness in the future.
Yeah.
They're just so afraid
They are.
of letting go. And the sacrifice, in my opinion, sacrifice, in order to gain something great, which is what you just talked about, in order to gain something amazing, you have to let go of something average.
Yeah.
You got to let go of the average to have the great. You have to let go of the good to have the great.
Yeah.
And that's how you become a great individual, because you got to let go. And kind of like a snake, it sheds its skin off.
Yes.
You got to shed all that shit out.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because evolving is a part of growing. Like, I think that I've evolved through multiple layers of this person that's sitting in front of you. You know, I'm 35 years old. I still feel maybe younger than that, but like I've gone through some stuff the past 12, 15 years, especially probably the past 5 years, that has really shaped my identity, my belief of who I am, of who this person is. But you've got to be willing to do the hard work. Like, this is, you know, I always tell people, like, there's the outer work. That's like making money, that's setting a goal, that's saying, I'm going to make $1 million. Cool, awesome. What's the inner work? The inner work is,
I like that.
Who are you becoming inside? Who are you becoming as this person? Like, what is your identity? And I'll share something. Back in 2019, I went to a Tony Robbins event, Date with Destiny. Incredible event, week-long event, like 14 hours a day. Just complete insanity, to be honest.
That guy beats you up.
No, he helps you to kind of get to this place of supreme openness, where he does these long events with long hours, long days, because he wants to really help you to like figure some things out on a deeper level. And I went to that event. My whole life is different from that point, but it was such a wild event, because in that event, I really was able to figure out my belief system, not like religious beliefs, but my beliefs of like, what do I stand for? And my values, the things that are important to me, the main character traits that I want to emulate, you know, love, courage, patience, endurance, like all these things that I really try to embody on a daily basis. That framework was laid back in 2019. And now I'm doing some work with a few different coaches, with an organization called Abundant. I've been in that mastermind.
Think about what you
for
just
a
said.
long
Powerful,
time.
powerful. I love this, because if I think about my story, it was never me figuring this shit out by myself.
No, you can't.
I
do it by
thought
yourself.
I can think of on two hands so many names of therapists, psychologists, friends, mentors, you know, managers, people that have changed and shaped my thinking. And a lot of people think they got to do it by themselves. And I say this, it's very scary to do anything by yourself. I hate doing anything by myself. Even like, I'm a scuba diver, you're a scuba diver too. Like
Dude, we scuba dived in the Red Sea.
Yes,
in
it was
Egypt.
incredible.
It was like me and this guy.
We
were
also
literally on this boat.
did we scuba dive in? Did you come with us? And where was it? South? Where did we go? I'm trying to think. Where else did we went?
Well, we went in South Africa, but that wasn't like for.
That was
real
cage
scuba
diving with a shark. That's what it was.
That was cage diving.
Cage diving. We love the water, but you never do that shit by yourself. It's very risky. You got to have a buddy.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my team the other day. You got to have a buddy system. Who's your right hand man that's gonna run with you? Nothing great happens by yourself.
Yes.
You can't even have sex amazingly by yourself. Think about that shit. You cannot have. Listen, I know Pamela Henderson is helpful, and some of you girls want to use these massage machines. I understand that. I may get banned on fucking Instagram for this shit. I don't give a fuck. The point is this: you cannot have great anything unless you have somebody with you.
Yes.
It's only amazing when there's another person with that energy helping you with that process.
Yes.
A mentor, a friend, a buddy, a manager, a father figure, a brother figure. You cannot do anything by yourself. You need that support system.
I want to talk about two things you just said. The first one, you talked about these leaders that have shaped your mentality.
100%.
So I'm writing a book right now. It's almost done. It'll be coming into the world about a year from now in 2025. And it could maybe be sooner than that, but I'm just giving myself enough time to kind of finish this thing.
Writing a book ain't easy, so, you know,
I've been working on it for 7 years. And one of my favorite chapters to write was called The Blessings of Leadership. And in this book, I actually went through like the 10 leaders that have shaped me.
Wow.
The lessons that I've learned from those 10 people. It was a pretty powerful chapter to write. Like, I didn't expect it to be written the way that it was, but like in that chapter, I give people a task. I give people like some homework, and I say, hey, figure out who the leaders that have shaped your path are, and write each of those people a letter and write them a letter. Those 10 people that have shaped you, write them a letter and send it to them or email it to them, like preferably on paper. It'll be so much more personal. But like if you write them a letter and you send it to them, that will probably be one of the most prized possessions of that leader. That letter saying, thank you for teaching me this lesson.
I got a lot of letters to send.
And this lesson and this lesson. And it's like it's such a huge concept of like the people that have shaped your path. Like just like you said, we cannot do this alone. And no great team has ever happened with one person.
Never.
It's always been with,
a collective team.
A collective of people. And then the second thing I was going to say is about masterminds. Right now, masterminds are super hot. They're kind of the new thing. There's real estate masterminds. There's personal development masterminds. I've been in this mastermind now for almost 7 years. It's called Abundant. And it's so wild. It was cool before masterminds were a thing. And, that's how I met Sam Taggart. That's how I met a lot of the close friends in my life right now. And that's how we met, was through Sam on that bucket list trip.
Yep.
But like the thing about masterminds is that there's so much power in really connecting deeper with people and really putting a group of people together. And that is why people are going to see masterminds more and more the next 3 to 5 years, is because right now people need that support. We're still in a massive period of healing from COVID. Relationships were broken. Marriages were broken. Businesses were broken. Entire countries.
People were freaking broken.
People were broken. Like there was so much damage that happened in 2020 and 2021 that we are in deep repair as a world, not just as America, but globally. And that's why there are some big things happening on a global scale right now with some shifts that are happening, which I think people are going to start realizing and become aware of. But it's like right now, the biggest thing that you can do is grow personally.
100%.
Do the inner work.
100%.
So that you can be your own compass as opposed to relying on other people.
You know what's crazy? I made a commitment. 2010 was when I started my journey on becoming a better human being. And I made a commitment. I said, I will never, till the day I die, I will never stop growing.
Yeah.
Man, when people
Powerful.
say, I don't want to stop growing. But what does that mean, right? For me, it meant deliberate, intentional growth. Growth doesn't just happen by you just sitting there fucking hoping to grow. It's about being intentional. It's about being proactive. It's about putting in the work, the time, the effort, the energy, and being disciplined enough to have a set plan on what are you trying to work on. So for many, many years, I worked on my skill sets. I worked on getting my mental mindset right. But my emotional health was not 100%. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like I put it to the back burner, not realizing that emotional intelligence was supposed to be the first fucking thing I needed to work on. But I just was so focused on making money first. I didn't realize this, but if I had the emotional intelligence first and then work on a skill set, I would have made 10 times the money, right? Because the emotional intelligence is where most people lack. They don't understand that your emotions is what fluctuates on a daily basis, up, down, left, right, all the time. If somebody called you right now and said your mom is dead, what would you do? Your emotions would fucking drop. Your heart stop. You're like, what the fuck? Right? Because that's being a human being.
Yeah.
So when you have control over the responses to the emotional, ups and downs, that's the key place that you need to work on, because emotional intelligence helps you make more money, helps you get better in relationships, helps you get connected to God much better because you're more aware of what's going on with your emotions. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the important thing. Mm-hmm. Emotional intelligence, in my opinion. So what are some plans that you can start doing if you're watching this to start growing yourself? Create a plan, a physical plan. Get a mentor, get a therapist, get someone that's going to guide you in that process.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence is really the key here. So I have this concept that, like, in order to level up, it's almost like a pay-to-play situation. And, I had this idea because just over the past several years, like, when it comes to your income, that will match your level of growth, right? And I've been growing a lot, and it's funny, like, each year my income has gone up for the past 8 years.
And by the way, he's not making no small money. The guy making crazy money.
Yeah, high 6 figures, almost $1 million last year. So when it comes to growth, sometimes you do need to invest in yourself. And this is something that I tell people to, do is, like, really think about how much have you invested in yourself? they say, at least the millionaires, they say that you should invest 10% of what you make into your own growth. And I'm talking like 10%. So if you're making
If you're making 100 grand, spend 10 grand on yourself.
You should spend 10 grand on yourself, whether that's going to an event. That could be Tony Robbins. That could be a lot of these different really, really high caliber events that you can go to that are 7 days long or 5 days long that will completely help you to shape this. The other thing that you can do, invest in masterminds. When you invest in a mastermind that's $30,000, now all of a sudden you've just leveled up your network, because who do you think those other people are?
People that spend 30 grand.
People that spend 30 grand. So now if you've never made over $100,000 and you want to make $500,000, the first thing that you should do is change the 5 people that are you're around.
1,000%.
And you do that by paying to play. And so I have this whole concept that it's actually in my book, but when it comes to masterminds, like most of these masterminds are not free. Most of them you do need to pay to be in that circle. But like if you're in a circle of now 10 millionaires and you just made 100 grand, but you kind of paid some money to get there.
You pick up on the little nuances. Like it's
Yes.
like, you know what it is? Just because somebody, as an example, let's say somebody makes, I don't know, 500 grand a year and you're making 100 grand. What are you going to learn? You may say, well, Michael, what do I need to learn? I could just do 5 times what I did last year. You can, but it's not about what you can do. It's about how you can process information and solve problems.
Yes.
The person who makes 500 grand a year completely has a different mentality of the person who makes 2 million a year on how they solve for X. What does that X look like? How do they process that information? See, processing information is very important. I'll give you an example. If a kid gets angry, what does he do?
Screams.
Screams, yells, throws shit. If a teenager gets angry, what does he do? Punches, kicks, fights, whatever. If a young adult gets angry, what does he do? Well, he starts to scream, curse, whatever. If a 30 as an example, gets angry, that went through emotional intelligence, went through therapists, learned how to, he says, wait a minute, pause,
Yeah.
he thinks, analyzes the information, says,
Before
why
reacting.
am I gonna get, like I got angry, great. Now I just had to respond the right way. You know what, I'm gonna use it today to go make more money.
Yes.
I'm gonna use it today to go to the gym. And they channel that energy. They take that massive amount of energy, which is a good thing. Anger is good. Happiness is good. All these things are great, and they channel to something different, right?
Yeah,
And that's what it is. It's like learning how to
talk
process, how to process information and solve X.
This is wild. I heard this just a couple weeks ago in a mastermind group that I was in, and it really like struck me differently this time. And what it was is that you only really feel an emotion for about 90 seconds.
Ooh, I like that.
So if you hear some really bad news and you get really sad, you're actually only gonna be in that emotion for about 90 seconds, maybe less. It might be 30 or 40 seconds.
But then your mind starts creating more thoughts that create that,
right.
you keep
and
staying in that emotion.
You can perpetuate the emotion longer, and then, there's a little bit deeper level of it. If something happens and you are just destroyed emotionally, and you're like in that emotion of, let's say, sadness or depression for like longer than 15 minutes, there's a deeper trauma there that you need to do some work on.
Wow,
which
powerful.
might be with a therapist, which might be with
Mentor.
a mentor, someone that can help you process some stuff from your past or your childhood or whatever. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that we really only feel emotions for a very short amount of time. It's only 90 seconds that you have to think, respond, react, as opposed to just like blowing up and like throwing shit and just like making
Exploding
a big scene,
or whatever, yeah.
exploding. And so when it comes to emotional awareness, there's a great book about this, and it's actually called Awareness. It's an awesome book. It's very deep. Sam actually recommended it to me years ago. It's one of my favorite books now, years later.
I should read it then. I'm gonna read
You
it.
should. It's an amazing book.
I wish I read that shit when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, it's called Awareness. And the thing that's so wild about like the growth path is that while you're on the path, you're just evolving, right? And so like for me, I believe that I will always be growing. And I'm religious, I'm a Christian, I've got my own walk that I'm in, which I know I'll always be on. But like at the same time, even professionally, emotionally, personally, like I will always grow. And me and my wife, we're unified in that. Where originally we kind of butted heads sometimes, and I kind of told her, I said, hey, I'm always going to grow. I'm always going to be on this growth journey. Like no matter what, no matter where I go, even if I was a billionaire, like I'm still going to be growing because growth is literally the key that opens the door for whatever you want.
100%. If it wasn't for my growth and things that I like, if it wasn't for me changing who Michael Barai was from 2020 to 2015 to 2010, if I didn't change who I was, I would not be where I am today. I'm at a place right now, bro, it's crazy. And you notice that I'm a little bit more different and everything, but
yeah, you're more grounded the past year.
I'm 100% more grounded because I feel like I've eliminated anything that can kind of like get in the way of me being grounded, right? So I started realizing a lot of people put a lot of things on their fucking plate. They're adding shit. This job, this product, this project, this, that. And I've learned to just, I've been deleting things out of my life. I've been eliminating things out of my life and delegating things out of my life to get more time, which has been amazing, right? Because I have more time in my life than I ever had in my life. And I'm sitting there and I'm contemplating and thinking and processing my mind on what is the next big move that I have. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking about what is the next big move. And that kind of peace and tranquility is incredible because I was always go, 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 go. But when you kind of slow it down and kind of like take a breather and start focus on yourself, focus on being self-aware, focus on growing your emotions, your mind, your soul, your spirit, you just feel like the world is kind of like, like moving around you. Ever see like that? If you ever freeze and see the world just moving, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like my life is kind of paced down a little bit to kind of just see what's going on, so I can make an executive and executed decision on what I'm trying to accomplish in my life.
I'm going to give you a little reflection about that because we were talking a little bit about this at lunch, but like there's a very different energy between masculine energy and feminine energy.
Ooh, yeah, 100%.
And I would consider myself someone, I've studied a lot about this, so I know a thing or two about it. And masculine energy is the hammer. It's just get work done. It's just do it. And it's like it's a very forceful energy. Intense. It's like just that. Wake up, like drink a Red Bull, go to the gym. It's very, adrenaline filled, aggressive. Feminine energy is creation. It's writing. It's poetry. It's listening to music. It's dancing. It's feeling. It is a totally different type of energy. Any creative energy is actually a feminine energy. And so like when someone is thinking about creating a business, when someone is thinking about writing a song or writing a book or whatever, that's all the feminine energy.
Interesting.
And so what you're talking about is you used to just go, 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 push, 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 masculine energy. You slowed down, started thinking, processing, becoming more self-aware, and tapping into your feminine energy, which is more of the creative side. And that's also a softer energy of like taking care of your needs.
Yeah. Empathetic kind of says.
Yes, empathy, that's super feminine. There's great books about this if you wanted to study it and learn about it. But like, I think that so much of the world, there's even women that operate in their masculine energy.
I can't do that.
Well, and that's just like a woman who's a CEO.
This is the problem. This is the problem I see in America. 90+% of what I see in Miami, at least. I see a lot of I see this throughout social media. Women are putting themselves in a masculine energy.
Yeah.
Because they're forced, because the men are being pussified, in my opinion.
Yes.
And they're being put down.
Well, there's a lot of emasculated men.
A very emasculated man. They make it seem like being a man is not good and being disciplined is not good. And they make you feel bad. And men are becoming weaker, and they're trying to make everyone equal, when in reality, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree with this, but men and women are not equal. We're completely two different human beings. We're equal in our rights, equal in our choices to make, but we're two different human beings. And men...
I would say, instead of equal, I would say men and women are different. Like, meaning
Correct.
They operate in a different energy field.
100%.
And that's why, like, we could go down this rabbit hole, but we don't have time. There's a lot of value in just understanding how the feminine energy operates compared to a masculine energy, because for me, a lot of what I'm doing actually right now is in creation, with my book. I am a songwriter. I write a lot of songs. I've written like 5 songs in the past 12 months. And I don't have an album or whatever. That hasn't ever really been calling to me as a thing that I really need to do. Is
do it as a hobby.
Be a musician. But I've been a musician. I went to college for music, and that musical energy, that's all feminine. So like when I am actually at my most peaceful state, I'm operating in my feminine energy, not my masculine. And it's like this conversation, some guys would be like, oh dude, like where's your testosterone at? I've got a very high level of testosterone. I just have a lot of awareness of when I'm using
And there's
the
nothing wrong with that.
different
And a
energies.
woman actually wants you to have your masculine energy, and she wants you to have that feminine energy
The
a little
softer-
bit,
the
a little bit
softer
softer.
energy. Yep.
And that's what I had to learn, because I thought you had to be just fucking tough and rough forever. But no, they want you to be tough and rough, but also when you're with the girl, as an example, a little bit more softer, a little more empathetic, a little more
Yeah.
calmer. And that kind
Exactly.
of duo dynamic, more masculine, of course, a little bit feminine, and the woman being more feminine, a little bit masculine, that's a great kind of like dynamic duo, in my opinion. But
Yes.
that's for another topic. Right now we are clocked on time. I know you got to get over to your next meeting.
Yes.
But listen, it's my boy Matt the Ninja. As you guys know, we come here, we spit fire, we spit the truth. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the channel. And when his book comes out, you better get his book. We don't know what the topic is right now. I mean,
We'll do another podcast on that.
we'll hook it up. We'll do another podcast.
We'll
but
do a
we
full
appreciate you guys.
episode
Subscribe
on
to the
that.
channel, like the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video.